Welcome, viewers! I am your host, Luigi, and welcome back to my White Void. Today we are diving into a brand new Pokeball wave, and while it's not the most exciting lineup we've ever seen, I still see some glimmers of hope sprinkled in there. So without further ado, I would like to welcome on... Oh yeah, Series 21, baby! Yep, it's a new wave. I was not joking in my Series 20 review that 21 and 22 are already out. I'm still working on hunting down 22. That one's been quite tricky because for some reason Target refuses to have the 3 I need, but I was luckily able to complete 21 on my numerous adventures to Target, so I'm happy for that. Yeah, there we go, a new wave. Sadly, this wave, there is no new Pokemon right out the gate, as you can see. So that's a little bit of a bummer. I mean, at the very least, Series 20 did have one new one, even if I still wasn't very impressed by it, but I'm not quite as quick to judge just because there was like maybe 1 or 2 Pokemon here I was actually excited to see again, and with a nice glow up, no less. I mean, I'm sure none of you can guess who those would be, but we got a nice variety here. Let's go ahead and give her a look. First up today, we have Litten. Yay! I'm so happy to see Litten back. I'm a sucker for cat Pokemon, so any day we get another one is a happy day for me. I was honestly pretty excited to see Litten coming back with a fresh glow up, as I have the older model, and while that one is nice, I've been interested to see how this new one will improve upon that older one. At first glance, this reboot looks very sleek and has a nice new paint job to really accent those sharp markings. And oh, look at the little stretch, it's so cute. So out of all of these, I was probably only really invested in Litten, but I'm hoping you don't let me down. Please, please, please blow my expectations. And then next up we got Popplio. Oh, it's been a little bit since we've seen this jolly little guy, but I have to say, he's looking pretty nice. I'm liking that they brought back these nice flipper pieces, and overall it just looks like a very more... Why? And overall, it just looks like a much more solid build, at least compared to his original, which was a little bit on the rougher side. So while you may not be my favorite Alolan starter, I'm still very happy to see you again. You're so cute like this. And then we have Rowlet. Boy's back, and at least they didn't change your shape. We know it can be a lot worse out there. Honestly, it doesn't look like too much has changed right out the gate. You're still very round. They still have the kind of awkward wing placement, as I can see what they're trying to do, but it still looks a little wonky. But I think they updated the color of his green and gave him a new expression faceplate, so that's cool. And now here's where we get to the questionable update with Dedenne. Again, what did they do to you? Like, you're getting the Mario treatment for some reason. Like, you looked like a potato before, and I'll admit, even in the original, it didn't like necessarily resemble the shape too closely, but like, what is this? You're looking like a chicken nugget now. I don't think I like this change, but we also get a brand new Pokeball type, which I forgot to mention, so that's pretty cool. We get the Love Ball. This is the very first time this Pokeball type has appeared in the Pokeball series, and I think is technically the first time it was released in the entire Mega Construx Pokemon franchise, despite the close tie between this and 2 other multi-packs also containing the Love Ball. That's pretty cool, at least. And after that, we have the cutie patootie Litleo. Well, I do really like this little guy. I don't think he needed a remake anytime soon, honestly. His first build was already pretty solid, so just to throw him back in the lineup for no notable reason and take away his exclusive set status, I'm a bit underwhelmed. However, since he's a cat and looks like a goofy little goober, he gets a pass, and I will accept another double of him in my collection. I mean, he's a cat Pokemon, so like I said, I'm not gonna judge him too harshly. I'm biased, sorry. And then last but not least, we have Pancham again. Wow, it has been quite a while since I've last seen you. In fact, if I recall correctly, the last time you popped up was in Wave 10 of the Pokeball line. So we are just 1 wave over from your anniversary number. Wow, my dude, it's been 11 seasons since I last saw you, my child. And you have not changed one bit, literally. Like, I was looking at them earlier, it doesn't look like they changed, like, really anything. Like, maybe the scruff along his neck, but they didn't really change his facial, like, design or anything, so that's a little disappointing. He comes back 11 waves later only to like be not different in the slightest. Not even a new faceplate design or anything? Man, that's just blatant stinginess, Mega. But yeah, there you go. That's our brief rundown of everyone we get in Wave 21 of the Pokeball line. And yeah, like I said, it's all just a bunch of like repeats, but I would argue some of these did really need an update. Like these ones came out like the very early waves of the whole line, so they had much weaker builds compared to the modern ones. So I don't mind these 3 coming back, as I do find the Alolan starters quite charming. These 3 though, I don't really know if they needed it. Dedenne, I don't think I like the direction they're taking. Leo is just thrown in there for giggles, I guess. And Pancham, he's doing nothing. If you come back and you do nothing, that's disgraceful. Sorry, Pancham lovers, but this ain't it. Other than that, I still think this wave holds promise. I already like 2 Pokemon right off the bat, and at least half of these actually needed a remodel. So if we have to have more remakes, then we have some for a good reason. I'm also a bit more optimistic since last time, as this wave isn't held to such a high milestone achievement as was 20, and is merely a blatant filler wave that we can take at face value. But there's some ones I'm excited for, some I'm a little cautiously optimistic about, so we're gonna see how this runs down, and I'll catch you in the review segment.
Many months later.
Alrighty, and we are back, baby! Wahoo! Okay, wow, a greater period of time has elapsed than I would have liked in between those 2 segments, but hey, you know what? We're finishing out the review here, okay? I mean, for you, this is just a normal part, but for me, this has been in the works for quite a while. But anyway, here we go, the full lineup for Series 21, and I gotta say, they're actually pretty cute. I actually quite like these little guys, they're fun. But before we jump into reviewing the little guys individually, here's just a quick look at the instruction manuals for once they're behaving and actually sitting flat so we can look at them. And over there is just a little extra pamphlet things here. We'll briefly flick through one. Pretty much everyone except Litten came with one of these this time, which is weird because usually it's a standard for all these newer ones to come with one of these checklists, basically showing off the latest ones that happen to come out around the time of this Pokeball wave. But oh man, that's a beautiful sight. I'm gonna miss looking at that. I'm gonna miss that. As for a quick look at a instruction book, they're just foldable like this, and we get the gist. Alright, and there you go. And this was the only extra piece, which is really rare. Usually these Pokeballs, they don't come with any extra pieces for the Pokemon themselves, but Litten came with that one, which is pretty cool. Alrighty, I believe that's everything else we need to touch on before we take a closer look at these guys. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start with my boy Litten over here because I love Litten. Yo, yo, yo! Here's the little lad himself. Oh my goodness. I love him actually. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Litten before, but this new look, oh, it's sleek on my boy. The chest shape is a bit unique as it's a sort of rounded wedge style, so it's just kind of like a whoop. Not sure I've seen this design choice on anyone except Litten, but the new smooth back piece has helped to sell the look. He has sleek, longer legs now that they took out the extra articulation joint in favor of more stability, and those crisp stripe lines are the cherry on top. His tail's fun, I like wiggling it around. It even comes with a cute little floof on the end. But his face, oh, they did a really good job on this new face print. And especially these little rubber bits. I love his little rubbery whiskers and even his little rubbery hair. Adorable. That little meh face never fails to get old. The new ear rotation is pretty nice too. The style reminds me of what they did for the Alolan Vulpix build. So very nice actually. They did a very good job cleaning this one up. And I mean, I'm not going to turn down a cute cat Pokemon. What do you think, I am a crazy person? Of course I may be a bit biased to some degree, but I genuinely do feel that this was a solid upgrade and the quality greatly improved from his first run in the series. It's interesting to see that they didn't choose the traditional quadruped build this time around, but it works in its own way to provide a sleek and refined design for our sassy fire cat. For a brief comparison to his old form over here, which this is the original Litten that came out in 2018 sometime. So this little guy, he's an old sucker over here. You can definitely see how far Mega's come from this older stuff to now their newer stuff. Because, I mean, look at this beautiful glassy boy. You are kind of glossy, but he also has a mix of kind of gloss and matte. The main difference here is probably his leg construction and his face construction here, especially the neck, which is more hunched over and linear to make his head the same level of the body. A little bit more cat-like to a degree, I guess you could say. So you can only really... Okay, that happens a lot too. His face. Oh, wow. Buddy. Keep it together! Okay, well, as you saw, the neck area is very flimsy. Yeah, this is a very unique piece we have not seen in quite a while. It's like a half round, half ball joint piece, which I can kind of see why they did away with, considering how weak it is. The face itself is pretty good, though a little bit scratchy in some areas. They still got these nice rubber bits, but he does not have the scruff. The ears are a little bit harder to wiggle around. Your face, stop falling off. The ears are a little bit harder to wiggle around. And these legs here still count as pretty long legs for a smaller Pokemon build like this. But I do kind of like the extra joints here to allow for some cooler action shots. Although I guess you could say it does make it a bit more clunky visually. But that versatility and freeness was a cool idea if only the joint quality was significantly better. And I really do like his extra long tail. It's kind of fun. We got more proper boy, we got more feral boy. But, you know, I actually still do like bits and pieces from both. While I will say the new one is a very nice upgrade and cleanup job, I still kind of like how the older legs went, just if they were maybe made a little nicer and not as stiff to move around. Which, that, of course, as I mentioned, with all their newer stuff, their pieces are much better quality than they used to be, so they're more durable than the original stuff, but, you know, I actually have to say, I really like both these models. I don't know if I can really pick a favorite, because they each have something unique about them that I really like. So the new model gets an A+ from me. Next up, we have the little guy, Poplio. I wouldn't say he's necessarily like my favorite starter or anything, but I have to say he's pretty charming for the Mega line. I know that face is a little awkward. Look at that nose! Wow! Look how far that sticks out of your face! Actually, the build itself is really cool. This time he's sporting a nice triangular shaped body. Kind of a new clean look. Wiggle around a little bit from the side to side for the tail. Has a nice hinge joint for his little flipper here. I do like their use of big paddle pieces for his big front flippers. Those are fun, and each are printed on some little toe beans. And I do like his new little rubber bits for his ears. They're really floppy. They make him so cute. And the eye prints are pretty nice. They look much more appealing from front on now. And he's even got some little whiskers and a little smiley face down there. Overall, he's a simple little guy, but really cute, and I like what they did with him. Now let's compare it to the older model, which you could say hasn't necessarily changed too much, but the older version is just a little bit rougher around the edges. As for one, you know, on his face, you can see that there used to be some empty ball socket joints here for his ears. It's a lot more awkward to look at him head on. And he had no smiley face, but he still had some whiskers. The head looks much, much longer. So I do like how they toned that back a little bit. This time he sports a rounded body shape, making him look a little bit chubbier, and he's a little bit rougher tail fin type, but they still kept the flipper pieces. This neck design is a bit of an eyesore though, youch. Other than that, they haven't necessarily changed too much, just kind of refined a little bit. I definitely do like the new snout. It went from a salt and pepper shaker to a little bat mitten now. Like little round versus pointy flippers. The body sizes, I even like those. Though I do think that neck piece is much, much better. Yeah, for the most part, I think they did a successful remodel of this older Pokemon. They really just streamlined it, but kept the essence of what made the original really cute. And I still have to say, I really like both of them. They're both sweet in their own way. I do like the little round, cushy body, and I also do like the slim triangle body as well. Both these little guys get A+ as well. They did good. Alrighty, next up we have little guy Rowlet. And I have to say, cute, but there's some things I'm not sure if I'm quite so keen on. For one, I don't know how I feel about these big old grippers he's got down here. I mean, I know this is a pretty commonly used talon piece for the bird Pokemon, but you'll see what I mean in a minute, where I think I kind of like them a little bit smaller on him. They just look like a little too large, kind of, or in the way, but that could just be a personal nitpick. We have a new faceplate for him. He's kind of got like a kind of expression going on, which I think's cute. They still kept the same basic wing construction here, except this time they made the joints a little thicker and changed the inner wing color to be a more vibrant green. Still can kind of well, okay, I guess you gotta be careful. You can kind of pop out like that. That's the one downside of this build. It's kind of compact, but when you mess around with the wings, they oftentimes pop out due to the joints being too bulky for this small gap, which then greatly reduces the range of movement they once had on the old model. Yippee. It's a lot more smooth and refined back here. I like his little tail down here. And yeah, overall he's alright for what they had to work with, which is a small round owl thing. Now here's a look at the older model here as a comparison. Pretty much almost the same color of brown, but they did definitely alter these greens. And I do like the more minty green they used instead of this darker forest green that they did. Not quite as noticeable on the wings, but definitely the bow tie. I do kind of like this little dapper, polite expression on the original one. But I do think the open mouth one is nice, especially if you're going to remake a Pokemon. At least give us a new expression. But I have to say, I think I like his little feetsies from the original model more. Like, there's just, I know they are smaller, but there's just something about it that just makes him look so much, like, I don't know, cuter, quainter, something like that. He looks more like a little gentleman like this than is a more like feral form or something. So I don't know, at least I like the smaller feet a little bit more in this proportion. He's definitely a lot rougher and blockier. They didn't really know how to smooth him out very well. They struggled a lot with that in the earlier waves, so I will say the smooth look is nice, but I don't necessarily mind the blocky look either. It kind of gives it some nice texture, so I'm a little torn. Yeah, overall, I guess you could say it's down to preference which you prefer, but I'm maybe leaning a little bit towards the original that I love slightly more, but the subtle visual enhancements of the new one are still nice to see, so I'll give the remake a B+. Next up is our little fellow, Litleo. Oh my goodness, like I said, another cat Pokemon. This is a wonderful day, and not gonna lie, from pictures alone, this guy always looks a little funky. At least in Mega he has. I mean, to a degree, maybe you could say he even looks weird normally, but at least in Mega, he almost always looks like a monkey, somewhat. Like, look at that little face. That, like, if you don't look at the body, you could argue that could be a monkey, but in person, I actually have to say he is quite charming and silly and with a fun build to boot. I didn't think I would ever see this build in a Pokeball wave considering what set he originally came out in. I thought he would have too many pieces to qualify for this line since they're typically pretty low piece count, but he actually doesn't have as many as I remember, yet it still feels weird to see him here just because the design feels more complex than what is normally found in these Pokeballs. His little legs are actually like really slick on slick ball joints, like woo, look at that rotation, just glides everywhere. He's got a little tail. That piece is a little awkward. It's like he's got an extra butthole, but wrong end. He's got a rectangle body, which that's unique. I don't think I've ever seen that on any other Pokemon, so he's like half rectangular, half oval, half smooth. He's got a lot of shapes going on. Very reminiscent of the evolutions, kind of. Especially this neck joint here, which I guess you could say it looks minimalistic and clean, but I prefer me some more rotation, as bro can't look down for the life of him, but he can tilt his head, it can swivel around, it just can't look up or down, so that maybe bugs me a little bit, but I don't know, pick your battles, I guess. And as for his ears, they have a ball joint. Why can't his neck have a ball joint? I don't know, I guess his ears were just more important, but oh yeah, look at that. Monkey mode. Oh, he's so cute. And overall, yeah, he's a little happy, fun guy. Now, I would show a comparison for this Pokemon, but I just realized I never actually unboxed the original set that the first Lietto came in, so my bad. I'll have to save that for another day, but at least based on these photos, we can see that the main construction differences lie with the legs, the body, the neck joint, and perhaps a slight color correction to the coat. So nothing too crazy, but I can't say if this is really needed or not. If anything, the changes might just be so the new lit Leo could fit in the Pokeball rather than a justifiable refinement. But only time will tell, I guess. At the very least, I do think the new neck placement is much better, but I would have preferred to have it be on a 360 ball joint instead. But he's silly and funny, so I'll give him an A. Next! Oh lord! The Dene's coming! Oh my goodness. I don't know what's up with Mega choosing such drastic new body shapes for their mouse Pokemon, but Dedenne is the next victim. First, it was Marill from last wave when they made him a pill. Now this one's a squash potato sack, which, to be fair, Dedenne normally looks like a potato, so this is a little bit more accurate, I guess you could say, but at the same time, it's not though. It's too squish. It's like a pillow, kind of. So I don't know how to feel about it, but you know, the print looks nice. I like the whiskers. They're long, they're wiggly. The ears are actually very similar to Marill, where, you know, they're kind of just swivel around like that. So pretty much the same construction technique. The tail is pretty much the same as the original Dedenne's. Still very long, attracts hair and dust like you wouldn't believe. And, you know, we got little stubby arms, little stubby legs that they can't move at all. Movement's very limited on this Pokemon, pretty much the arms and ears only. But yeah, other than that, wiggly tail. I guess you can't ask for more. It's Dedenne. Now, in comparison to original Dedenne, oh, oops. I had your little bow on. Sorry, I like my Dedenne to look fabulous. Alright, anyway, so this is a comparison to the original Dedenne versus new Dedenne. And yeah, it's kind of 9-day difference. Before we had a normal mouse, and this is the mouse that got into the grain shed, if you catch my drift. But, you know, I guess each has their merits. I guess you could say this body shape is a little bit more truthful to its game counterpart. But I honestly think I prefer this look. It's just a little bit cleaner, a little bit sleeker. But I know, to each their own. Before you had little circle footsies, but hey, Dedenne could do the splits before, now you can't. You're not flexible anymore. But it didn't really have arms before either, just these two little, like, clasp pieces that would hold the tail together. Wow, dueling. So I guess the new arms could be considered a plus, since the OG Dedenne didn't have much going on before. And the whiskers are a lot longer, but these little springly ones, they're fun. And these are the old ears, which actually work pretty similar to the new ears. Just not as boxy, more streamlined. But, you know, still kind of cute each in their own way. The backs, I have to say, I kind of like how it travels down the back more on this older one. Just something looks nice about it. And, yeah, so kind of a controversial change maybe, to each their own, whether you like it or not. But personally, I still think I'm an original Dedenne fan over the newer one, and I'll give this new model a B-. And last, but certainly not least, we have Pancham. This little fella, I don't know how he made it in here with pretty much no purpose to be here. He's literally, like, made pretty much no changes from his original model, except maybe like one or two, but not significant enough to just randomly show up again. Like, it's one thing to get another duplicate Pokemon, but at the very least, Mega does usually offer something new to incentivize the customer wanting to collect it, such as a new faceplate, a quality of life upgrade, or updates to a model that will hopefully fix past issues. In this case, and maybe with Leo too, Mega isn't even trying to give us a valid excuse for a repeat Pokemon here, which is just blatant laziness on Mega's part. Not cool for a quick crash grab again. Stop, it's getting gross. But anyway, that tangent aside, here's the little fella. You know, he looks as spunky as always. They did change that color of green leaf on his mouth, but he still got that smug, determined look on his face. The ears, they wiggle around like that. They did redefine his paint job on his tummy here. You can see that tummy fluff much better, and that light versus gray dark. He still has pretty smooth leg joints, little arms, a little tail piece. This rubber bit is new, as it shows that little scruff at the back of his neck much better. And yeah, that's pretty much him. He's not a lot going on, and they did not change a lot either. To prove my point, original versus new Pancham. Pretty much, they are identical. I know they did change which side of the mouth the leaf was on. Whoa, that was pretty big, Mega. You broke some groundbreaking records here, guys. But, I mean, I guess you could say they would be kind of cute as, like, twins now, since they're almost identical with some slight differences. So I guess that is a kind of cute idea. I would say maybe this one's a little bit paler in the face, and this one's more of a slightly warmer cream, little tummy fluff. Maybe a slight gray correction. I still kind of like the macaron tail versus this little round one more. The rubber piece is a little bit of a nicer touch than this little twig piece they used in the past. Also a kind of smoother gradient on the back area here. But ultimately, other than a few really subtle changes, they didn't really need to make a comeback, honestly. Like, sure, he is nice, but this guy stole a whole valuable Pokeball position from another Pokemon who could have actually needed it more. So that is probably the main reason why I'm so irritated to see Pancham thrown back in another wave. He had his time, and obviously that first build was pretty peak, since little to nothing was changed since 11 waves ago. But I guess if anyone missed out on him the first time, here you go. I'll give the new Cham a C+. And there you have it. That's the Mega Construx Pokemon Pokeball Wave Series 21 lineup in the bag. There's all our little fellas, and honestly, most of them pretty cute. Like I said, I had fun with the majority of these little guys. For my overall thoughts on this wave, it's not bad. Is it groundbreaking and mind-bending levels of awesome? No, but that's okay, and it doesn't need to be that. It just kind of exists. It's fun. It offers up some much-needed remodels for some really old Pokemon that needed an upgrade, and we got to see the Alolan starters again, so it's an alright time. Definitely the biggest pro to this wave were the updates made to the Alolan starters, minus Rowlet, so that the builds became more durable, the joints of better quality, and some enhanced print jobs really polish up their past counterparts. As for the other three, they were fine for the most part, but I don't think any of them really warranted a repeat this wave. They were most likely just thrown in to pad out the runtime, really. Especially Pancham, as it just feels like spitting on his legacy to disrespect him like this. Sure, you could argue the same for Dedenne or Litleo, but at least they did try some new things with their designs, even if neither of them were needed in the first place. It was an attempt, and it didn't land exactly, but you know, they tried. But at the very least, we got an excuse to see 2 more cat Pokemon today, so that does make me happy to see. But all in all, this wave is primarily just meant to be a filler wave in between waves with bigger and better things to offer. We no longer have to hold it up to such a high degree as we did with 20, as it's not a milestone achievement anymore, so we can finally appreciate a silly wave just for the simplicity of it. If you approach this wave with that mindset, I think it's more enjoyable, and you can appreciate the few cool things we did get from it. I forgot how much I enjoyed the Alolan starters till today, so it was fun to see some of these guys again. I can honestly say I had more fun with this than I did with Wave 20, and knowing the Pokemon we get in the final 2 waves coming up next, it only gets better from here. So I'm excited to tackle the final 2 entries to the Pokeball line coming up next. And of course, you guys let me know your thoughts on these. Do you like these new upgrades? Do you like the older ones more? Or which one is even your favorite Pokemon out of the lot? You guys let me know. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching the video to this point. If you liked what you saw, now would be a great time to leave a like, comment, or subscribe, as those all would really help me and the channel out as we work towards our 2,000 subscriber goal. With your help, we can accomplish it this year. And with that, I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day or night, and remember to stay groovy.